One of the things that tends to surprise people about Exchange Server is that in every new edition, at least every new edition that I can think of, Microsoft tends to remove some features from the previous edition. So, for example, did you know that in the days of Exchange 2000, there was actually a chat feature that was built into Exchange, and the chat was in comic book format? Exchange actually drew comic book characters with speech bubbles as the chat progressed. That hasn't existed in quite some time, but it is an example of a feature that was removed. So I want to talk about features that we've lost in Exchange 2016. Thankfully, there aren't many. Since the days of Exchange 2013, we've only lost two features. The client access server role, and that really isn't a loss because the capabilities of that role have been rolled into the mailbox server role, and we've lost the MAPI CDO library. Now, there are also some features that have been de-emphasized since Exchange 2013. De-emphasized features are features that still exist, they're still fully supported, but Microsoft encourages you to stop using them. Essentially, this is Microsoft's way of saying that they're not going to add any functionality to those features in the future, and that eventually those features will probably get removed, so it's a good idea to start easing away from using them if you can. So the de-emphasized features since the days of Exchange 2013 are third-party replication APIs, RPC over HTTP, which I mentioned in one of the previous videos, and support for failover cluster administrative access points within database availability groups. Now you can migrate to Exchange Server 2016 from either Exchange Server 2010 or Exchange Server 2013. And so far, everything that you've seen in this video assumes that you're going from Exchange 2013 to Exchange 2016. But what if you're coming from Exchange 2010? Well, if you're coming from Exchange 2010, the list of discontinued features gets a little bit longer. So you can see on this slide the discontinued features, or at least some of them. There's more on some other slides. The hub transport role, the unified messaging server role, but again, these roles have been rolled into the mailbox server. The MAPI CDO library, which I mentioned a second ago, the Exchange Management Console or Exchange Control Panel. It's still there. Microsoft just calls it something different. It's now called the Exchange Admin Center. We no longer have support for Outlook 2003, and RPC over TCP access for Outlook clients is gone. Now in the previous video I mentioned that Microsoft has added a ton of new features to Outlook on the web, which was formerly known as Outlook Web App or Outlook Web Access or OA, depending on what version of Exchange you were using. But there are some Outlook Web App features that have been discontinued since Exchange 2010. For example, spell check isn't there anymore. Now why is that? Well, it's because most of the browsers have their own spell check, so you don't really need an OS-specific spell check. Also, customizable filters, message flags, chat contact lists, and search folders are all gone from Outlook Web App. So here are a few last features that have been discontinued since the days of Exchange 2010. Linked connectors, management of anti-spam agents in the Exchange Management Console, connection filtering agents on hub transport servers, managed folders, the port managed folder wizard, and directory lookups using automatic speech recognition within unified messaging. So these are the features that have been removed since Exchange Server 2010. So that's going to do it for this video. I'm going to pick it up here in the next video and talk about licensing Exchange Server 2016.